Welcome back, everyone. Oz here, and today I've got some r/am I the asshole for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading the post, giving you my thoughts and opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Ruined birth throwaway. Am I the asshole for running away to give birth? Throwaway because my husband follows my main. I, 23 female, and my husband, 25 male, have been together for 4 years, married for 2, and we were expecting our first child. My relationship with my mother-in-law was never amazing, but before this, she always kept to herself, and so did I. And for the record, my relationship with my husband's father and brother was also really good. When I got pregnant, I told my husband that I wanted to keep it a secret for at least the 3-month mark, because my own mother miscarried 5 times in between my and my younger siblings. So, I thought that this fact could affect my and my pregnancy. And because I remember the heartbreak of my mom losing all those babies, I didn't want our families to feel it. He totally agreed and even said it would be our cool little secret. 2 days after I told him, I got a text from my mother-in-law saying that she knew it was a girl and that it was selfish of me to keep the news of her baby girl away from her and her family. Just for the record, I was around 4 weeks pregnant at that point, so I had no idea about the sex myself, so I don't know where that came from. I confronted my husband. To that, he replied, "You were not expecting me to hide this from my mom, right? She deserves to know, it's my child too." I was furious and didn't talk with him for around a week after this. Needless to say that in the week after this incident, everyone already knew I was pregnant, and people were even mad at me for wanting privacy on this. Then the harassment from my mother-in-law started. At around 4 months, my husband and I went to visit my family and left my mother-in-law responsible for watering the plants. When she came back, a whole nursery was made, all pink with the name Olga Bertha painted on the wall. Keep in mind that I had no idea about the gender still, and of course this was an extreme privacy violation. I had a harsh conversation with her. She cried, and my husband has been mad because I was mean to his mom. But this was just the beginning of the harassment. She was sending me articles every day about the bad effects of working out during pregnancy, criticizing what I had for each meal, started crying because I want to exclusively breastfeed. She literally said, "Feeding my baby is a critical bonding moment, you're stealing that from me," for not wanting visitors for 1 month, and then the delivery room. To sum it up, she wanted to be there. I said no, I only wanted my husband there. She seemed a little hurt, but never talked about that again, until my husband was showering and a message from her popped up. We had a lunch date on that day, so I assumed it was the location and opened it, just to find hundreds of messages of their plan on how she would get in the delivery room when I was too tired to argue to see her baby being born. I cried a lot when I was alone, not gonna lie to you guys. But then I made peace with it. On that Monday, I told him I was going to spend some days with my parents, and if something happened, I would tell him. I drove from North Carolina to Florida, where my family is, got into labor, gave birth with my mom and 2 sisters in the room to a healthy baby boy, without my husband's knowledge. Now to the present, my son is 2 weeks old, and I finally told my husband what I did. He's driving down here and yelled at me for giving birth without telling him, and for not including him on the birth certificate or name choice, and keeps saying that he and his mom will sue me. Oh, try it. Am I the asshole for running away to give birth? Edit. It seems to be a lot of comments about the name in the nursery. Olga Bertha was not what was written, but close enough to Olga is the fake version of my mother-in-law name and Bertha of my mother-in-law's mother. About 2 weeks of not telling him, we were not on good terms, just texting, so it was not hard to hide, honestly. Edit 2. For the ones criticizing my spelling and punctuation, I'm sorry it's not up to your expectations, but it's the best I can do as a first-time mom that is sleep-deprived and gave birth 2 weeks ago. Thank you for understanding. Update. Hey guys, first of all, thank you all so much for the messages. Some people asked for an update, and I'm here for it. The last 48 hours were the most insane I've ever had, honestly. So, to go back to where we left off, my husband arrived yesterday afternoon. Can you guess who also came? Yeah, his mom. Nothing I was already expecting, but it's always surprising, I guess. When the car pulled up, my mother-in-law was the first to come out. They both got in. My child was in my old bedroom in my parents' house with my sister and mother, and in the living room, my brother's dad, me, and them. The first thing that came out of her mouth was, "Quit the bullshit, my baby is a girl, right?" I said that my baby is a male. My family confirmed. My mother-in-law's face completely changed. She started crying, saying that this one was meant to be a girl, and if she knew I would give her another boy, she wouldn't have been so nice to me. For context, my husband has one brother only, and he's already done having kids. He has 3 boys. I told her to go fuck herself. This child is mine, not hers. And I surely didn't have a baby so she could fulfill her weird desires. She was about to raise her voice, but my brother stopped her and told her that it wouldn't be accepted in this house, and asked her to leave and wait for my husband in the car. Yes, after she found out the gender, she didn't even ask to see him. She left, giving me dirty looks, but left. My husband looked at me and asked me, how could I rob this moment from him? As you can imagine, I replied with the plan they had. He turned pale, and then I think it clicked together in his little brain. He started apologizing and saying that it was just to shush his mom, and that he would never actually do it. But after being pressured, his speech changed to, "But I'm also going through a lot in the delivery room. I need support." My whole family started laughing in his face. He got angry and demanded to know my son's name and see him. I told him the name and allowed him to see him from afar. He asked to hold him, and I declined. After this, I talked alone with him and told him that I wanted a divorce. He cried, pleaded, and asked for another chance. I told him my decision was final, and he didn't have to financially support my child, but that our marriage was over. I asked him to come around the next day so we can discuss this better. Then he came. His eyes were puffy, I'm guessing from crying, and he and his mom came here, looked at my husband and said out loud that he should give me the divorce and forget about this kid since it was a boy. He should find a woman that would give him a girl. Finally, I saw that dude get a little of a backbone, and he told her to get out, that she already ruined this enough. She yelled, as expected, and left. He cried and told me he finally understood the kind of harm his mom was making to our family, and told me that if I needed him to go no contact with her to save our marriage, he would. I told him that I needed time to think, and told him to give me some days. He is returning to North Carolina. This time it is actually North Carolina, not no contact. And in about a week, he'll come down again so we can talk. Now, I know what he did was horrible, but being a single mom at 23 is not ideal, and whether I like it or not, I still feel something for this man. Any opinions and recommendations are welcome. I feel fucking vindicated that for once it was actually North Carolina and not no contact. But to be serious, the husband ate a Nature Valley granola bar in his bed. Now he must lie in it and deal with the consequences. Whether you decide to forgive him or not is entirely up to you, and if he shows progress that he is actually going no contact with his piece of shit mother. I don't blame you if you choose not to forgive him, because you had some very simple requests. That he wait for 3 months to announce the pregnancy because of genuine fears you had at the potential of a miscarriage, which I understand, and that you wanted to be only with your husband in the delivery room, to have that privacy and to have that security, to which you found a plan of how they were going to take advantage of you while too exhausted to fight, so that way she could be there. Your mother-in-law also vandalized your home and put up a nursery you didn't ask for a baby girl that wasn't even going to be hers, and preemptively named her, which, ew. Can you imagine how messy this could have been if she did sneak into the actual delivery room and you had the baby boy? What kind of interaction or nightmare you would have been besieged upon from her and her screeching that you didn't give her the baby girl that she had been wanting for God knows how long? Good lord. Your mother-in-law's version of kindness is control, and your husband was A-okay allowing her to do so. and for some reason couldn't comprehend the stress or trouble she was causing until divorce was actually on the table. My recommendation? Give it 6 months to a year. See how he grows. See who he becomes. See if he holds by his word and puts his mom to no contact for her behavior towards you. And then, once the hormones have somewhat left your body and you're in a more stable mental state and not being forced to make decisions after just giving birth to your first child, then make a decision. But for now, I'd say separated, with divorce very firmly on the table. And the reason why I would personally aim for a year, by the way, is to see how he reacts and how he acts on holidays and what decisions and choices he makes then. Anyways, congratulations, OP, and good luck from here. Guyantific and Query. Am I the asshole for refusing to cut my hair for my sister's graduation? My 26 male, sister 22 female, is graduating from undergrad this weekend. We both currently live at home with both of our parents. My mother, 56 female, told me about a week ago that I needed to get a haircut before my sister's graduation because my sister wanted me to look nice. My hair is rather long and I haven't gotten a trim or anything in about 6 months. Since I started growing it out, I've been complimented on my hair a lot more often, including as recently as this month. I'm not very attractive, so getting compliments from complete strangers has been a big confidence boost. My mother has previously thrown a fit about my refusal to get a trim because I like the natural shaggy look of my hair, and she doesn't. When my mother cuts my hair, she styles it so that it's slicked back like I'm some greasy Italian mobster. Minus the grease because I have a dry scalp. I don't really get split ends, so it's not particularly necessary for my hair's health either. I talked to my sister about all of this, and she said that she didn't actually care if I got my hair cut or not. My mother completely made up the bit about my sister wanting me to get a trim. I confronted my mother about this, and she shut me down, saying, "I need to talk to your sister." She then apparently argued with my sister about it so much that she wore her down, and my sister texted me, "Just get the haircut. I don't want to deal with these arguments on my day." I told my mother that I still didn't want to get a haircut, and in retaliation, she's barred me from going to my sister's graduation. I have no transportation of my own, and would have needed to order a temporary parking pass already anyway, so I can't circumvent this. My mother has been commenting on how shitty it is of me to refuse to do something so simple for my sister, but I feel like my body is not something she or anyone else is allowed to dictate for any reason or occasion. On the other hand, it would require no real effort on my part to just get the haircut and be done with it. Am I the asshole? Update. My mother woke me up this morning, day of graduation, to tell me to get ready to go, so I guess I out-stubborned her. She's still complaining about my hair, but it's not a problem anymore. Shrug emoji. Triangulation is such a scummy, tactic to be used against someone. "Well, you need to get your hair cut because your sister wants this," asks sister. "I don't fucking care." "Yeah, well, I gotta go talk to your sister now." It's just triangulation. She's trying to be like, "Well, I don't mind that your hair's like that, but your sister? Oh, she doesn't like it at all, and for her big day, she wants you to get a cut." And then when that doesn't work, now it's, "Wow, you can't even do something so simple for your sister's graduation?" It's like, you're the one who's banning me from going because I won't follow what you want and what no one else cares about. For a bit of additional important context, user Fear the Momerath comments, "Not the asshole for not cutting your hair, although, as others have pointed out, regular trimming encourages healthy hair growth. But my guy, you are 26 years old. Why are you letting your mother have so much say in your life?" Opie responds, "She says that as long as I live under her roof and she pays my expenses, she should get a say in everything I do. Health issues and the shitty job market have made it very hard for me to find a job after college. I actually had a few offers, but my mother was uncomfortable with the type of work I'd be doing, so I had to refuse them." The biggest recommendation that I can give to you, OP, is to begin putting up walls between where you want your future to go and the information your mother has about your future. Because the more that you privy her in, the more she's gonna shut you down until you fit into a nice, even mold that she wants you to be in. You know, the son that doesn't have long hair, the son that does X, Y, and Z, the son that isn't this, or that. You're 26. Don't let her dictate where you want to go with your life. Sounds like it's about time that you put your mother on an information diet and you do what you want to do, not what she wants you to do. Refusing her order to get your hair cut is definitely the first step on this road. so good luck moving forward. Technicolor Reindeer. Am I the asshole for hiring professional cleaners to prove my mom was a spite cleaner? This is from a few years ago, but it's come up in arguments lately, so I figured I'd get some outside opinions. My mom is what you might call a spite cleaner. She uses cleaning as a tool to control and nag and whine and whatnot. My siblings and I bore the brunt of it. Often she delegated cleanings to a Saturday or Sunday, which we called a hell day. She would usually go out to buy food for the week/errands and leave us to it. And it seemed no matter how much cleaning we did, she was never happy with the result. And the day would end with all of us arguing and upset. Sometimes we would barely do any cleaning since the end result was the same. Her complaining. Venting to each other outside the house one day, my siblings and I decided to prove she was just complaining for the sake of complaining. We set up a GoFundMe to raise funds to pay a local house cleaning company, posing it as something along the lines of, help us get a professional house cleaning to surprise our mom. And we were able to raise a few $100s, mostly from family and friends, who knew our situation, which covered the cost, and a nice big tip for the cleaners from what was left. So, for one cleaning weekend, when our mom had shopping plus getting the car looked at, we scheduled the local cleaners to arrive. They were two very nice women who proceeded to clean the house till it was sparkling. We chatted a bit with them while they were working. One of the ladies had almost 20 years experience cleaning homes, the other 8. With their consent, we filmed some clips of them cleaning, saying it was to surprise our mom. So, our mom gets home with our uncle who was coming to dinner, and she's barely in the door. She's already started complaining about our usual subpar cleaning, that either I, my brother, didn't clean the surfaces well enough, or that my sister didn't sweep one spot. These were repetitive complaints, she often said. Long story short, we showed her the footage. Her face gets red, and she proceeds to scream at us for embarrassing her in front of her brother. How dare we hire cleaners and have strangers in the house, blah blah. We argue back that this proves she just weaponizes cleaning. It's been a few years since then. After the big blow-up, she just did most of the cleaning herself, and she never admitted to weaponizing it. It came up again recently as us tricking her, and I don't think we did anything wrong. Am I the asshole? There is only one area in this story that your mom is right about, and it's that you guys invited strangers into your home as minors, I assume. I don't think I need to explain why this could have potentially been dangerous or not an okay situation. The GoFundMe angle also has me raising my eyebrow because while you guys did technically get professional house cleaners to surprise your mom, still feels a little weird using GoFundMe and deceiving people like that. That does leave a sour taste in my mouth for what I hope to you guys is obvious reasons, considering my past and what I've gone through. But everything else, not the asshole. Your mom was being unreasonable and it comes across as though she was purposely finding ways to put you guys down. Hiring the cleaners had 2 outcomes. One, she would have for the first time said, wow, you guys did amazing work, revealing that you guys were falling short, or the outcome that happened, where she nitpicked the work of professionals. Professionals who most certainly did not make the mistakes your mother claims they made. She can claim that you guys embarrassed her in front of her brother, but she embarrassed herself by criticizing your work for no reason and talking down to you in front of her brother, trying to embarrass you guys, only for it to then be revealed that she was woefully unreasonable. She's mad that she got caught and exposed, not just to you guys, but to her brother as well. This actually kind of reminds me of when I was in 1st grade. I went to a school that was pretty much just someone's home, but like refurbished and had, 30 kids, usual setup and all that kind of stuff. But part of the tasks that we had was the kids were also supposed to clean the home. And if you didn't do your cleaning properly, well then guess what? You missed out on lunch recess. Now every Wednesday we had to dust. Everyone was assigned a shelf. And one student every week was given the honor to be the dust inspector. The dust inspector pretty much had carte blanche to decide who was able to go to recess. The teacher never double-checked the dusting of the kids, so if, let's say, the dust inspector didn't like someone, they could just, write them down as missing lunch recess. And it was believed without question. I don't know if this was a massive oversight or if they were purposely trying to harbor animosity between the students, but Dust Inspector Day was the fucking worst. And you knew that no matter what, if the dust inspector was someone that you didn't like or they didn't like you, you weren't going to have recess that day. And that wasn't even the worst part. You had to write 25 times, "I will properly dust my shelf next time," which that fucking blew. Because like 90% of the time, I didn't even do anything wrong. I was falsely prosecuted in a kangaroo court by a bunch of first graders. Bastards! Unfortunately for me, first grade me didn't really have a plan or a way to properly get back at those who wronged me, so I got off scot-free, but one day, I will have my revenge, dust inspector. Present Algae 6767. Fuck. Am I the asshole for telling my wife to stop blaming our child's behavior on ADHD? My wife and I's 6-year-old son was recently diagnosed with ADHD. I love the kid to death, but he can be a handful sometimes, and his behavior at school has been up and down over the past year. He got kicked out of his first school and sent to a school in a neighboring town that has a program for kids with behavior issues. It's a Pathways type ordeal like we discussed a few episodes ago. Ever since our son got the official diagnosis, my wife has basically been using his diagnosis as a reason to excuse his behavior. We're not talking about him just running around and being loud, but things like hitting people. For example, yesterday, my sister and nieces came to visit, and our son whacked one of my nieces in the face with a plastic baseball bat. Screaming obscenities and threats to people. For an example, we were on the school playground, and our son yelled he was going to blow up the school. My wife just tells people that our son has ADHD and doesn't know better. He's got ADHD, not an intellectual disability. He's very smart for his age. But today, I lost it on my wife. We were in line for ice cream and our son was having a temper tantrum because he wanted an ice cream flavor they didn't carry. He was screaming, yelling that he was going to blow up the ice cream place. I told him to be quiet and started walking him back to the car. And my wife just said nonchalantly to the others in line, "Sorry, he has ADHD." When we got in the car, I told her to stop using his diagnosis as an excuse for his behavior, and that obviously the medication he's been on for a month or so is not working, and that using his diagnosis as an excuse isn't teaching him right or wrong. She called me an asshole. So, am I? So, I wasn't diagnosed with ADHD until like my early 20s, because, well, I was always performing at an above average rate, so my parents are like, "Oh, he's just a little hyperactive. There's nothing going on there." But the problem is that I would have behavioral outbursts. I would have problems. I would definitely get myself into trouble. But it wasn't because of ADHD. It was just because I had a really hard time paying attention, or I had a really hard time keeping myself stimulated. So I would just do random shit to fill the void in my brain, and oftentimes, that stuff would get me in trouble. It's still bad behavior that they should be punished for it, and they definitely should be finding better outlets for their behavior. I should also really add I am speaking from a very limited personal experience window here, and this is definitely not a universal application at all. But by saying around him and just excusing his behavior as, "Don't worry, he has ADHD," in his mind it's, "Oh, I can do whatever the fuck I want and not get in trouble, and it's just my ADHD." Just because you have ADHD doesn't mean you're incapable of comprehending consequences or what's good or bad behavior. Just means your brain's gonna seek out dopamine from some unfortunate sources when it has to, like threatening to blow up an ice cream shop. It's an explanation, not an excuse. You see ADHD as a symptom of the behavior that needs to be solved. Your wife sees it as a convenient get-out-of-jail-free card when he begins acting improperly. It also sucks that your wife is also kind of inadvertently infantilizing everyone with ADHD as if we're incapable of understanding right from wrong. That's super cool. That sucks. And again, I'm just talking about, my perspective and my experience. I'm sure there are plenty of people in the comments who also have their own experiences to share. But in my ending opinion, I think that while OP was being blunt, he was being honest, and not the asshole. Bad Bunny 3. Am I the asshole for refusing to use my income to pay back my fiance's debts to his family? My fiance and I have been together since we were teenagers, and his grandparents, who raised him, have never liked me. They've spent years putting me down, calling me names, criticizing me, and generally treating me like I'm the problem in their family. For the last 7 years, I was a stay-at-home mom raising our son while my fiance worked. During that time, my fiancé got into a car accident after letting his insurance lapse, which led to around $20,000 in restitution and costs. His parents helped him out financially. Later, they also bought him a car after he promised he would pay them back. The car is completely in his name, not mine, and I was never involved in the agreement and was never asked to repay anything. Now, I'm back to work, and his grandparents think I should use my income to pay them back for the accident-related costs and the car. They say that because I stayed home instead of working, their grandson needed financial help, and they're owed repayment from me too. The thing is, I never borrowed money from them, never promised repayment, and none of these debts are legally tied to me. My fiancé made those choices. We mutually agreed that I would stay home and raise our son, because if I were to go to work, it would have only covered daycare costs, and now I feel like I'm being blamed and financially punished for being a stay-at-home mom. Realistically, my entire first year of income would go towards paying his parents back instead of helping our household, our son, or our future. I do understand that their financial help indirectly benefited our family, so part of me feels guilty. But another part of me feels like they're unfairly targeting me instead of holding their grandson accountable. Am I the asshole for refusing to take responsibility for paying them back? Edit to add, many people keep asking why I have a 7-year-old child and was a stay-at-home mom for all of those years. There are 700 plus comments as I'm writing this edit, and I can't find all of the comments asking that question. So, here's the explanation for that. Our child is about to be 6. However, I got pregnant at 16 on birth control. Had a job at the time of getting pregnant, but was in and out of the hospital the entire pregnancy due to complications. There was a certain point where I couldn't work anymore during pregnancy. So, I kind of view the pregnancy as also stay-at-home mom, and so really, it's almost 7 years. In October, our son started kindergarten this past August, and I immediately started applying to jobs. I'll say again, I couldn't work because all it would do was pay for daycare, and our child has been medically complex with tons of doctor's appointments that we would have had to take him out of daycare for, several times per week. So, here's the timeline. October 2019, pregnancy at 16. June 20, baby is born at 17. July 20, baby is diagnosed with health conditions and several doctor's appointments needed weekly. Jump all the way to the car accident in July 23. All of us were in the car. We had no idea the car insurance had lapsed until the officer told us we didn't have car insurance. It had lapsed by a couple of days. October 23, restitution letter for $15,000 came in the mail. February 2024, his grandparents bought him a 2020 car. He is in the comments telling people I told him to call them to buy the car. And while yes, I did do that, it's because they didn't want to keep driving us to our son's medical appointments 30 minutes out each way into the city and told us to go look at cars. The car was a wonderful deal, so I told him to call them to take a look at it. Jump to now, May 2026. I'm a couple of weeks out from starting my new job and am more than happy to, at the very least, split the household bills. The entire problem and why I made this post was because I was told that the entirety of my checks were to go to his family. I don't know, call me a bitch or anything you want, but I'm not down with that. One other question I'd like to address in this edit is people asking why I didn't try to work from home. I applied to many online jobs, but as many know, online/work-from-home jobs are highly sought after, and I never got a call back from anyone. I couldn't do walking dogs because I'm a wheelchair user, and that just wouldn't work. My general opinion is definitely not the asshole, but I think you might want to reassess what direction your future is going, and if this is really a family that you want to be involved in for the foreseeable future. It's one thing to work with your fiancé to cover more household expenses while he pays his debts back. Not fun, but that is at least a fair option. It's another thing entirely for his grandparents to tell you that you need to forfeit your entire paycheck for the foreseeable future until his debts are covered. He was the one who let his insurance lapse. He was the one who caused these mistakes. And now you're the one who's being punished for it. You have no legal obligation to these debts, by the way, not one. So they have no right to ask for your entire paycheck until his debts are settled. That's ridiculous. I mean, is this really a dynamic that you want to sign up for the foreseeable future? Don't let the sunk cost fallacy get the best of you, and start looking at what you can do for yourself. Someone needs to start looking out for you and your son, and it sure as hell isn't your fiancé. Posted by user Reptar! Am I the asshole for refusing to go to Disney World? Now that our kids are getting to the age where they'll remember vacations, my wife has really been pushing hard for us to plan a trip to Disney World. To be fair, our kids do enjoy many Disney movies and shows. The issue is that my wife and I went years ago before we had kids, and it was miserable, and I swore I would never go again. These are the reasons that I think it is a bad idea. 1, it is insanely expensive. We're not rich, and there are no longer any real budget options like there were when we were growing up. 2, the crowds are more ridiculous every year, and you're lucky if you get to ride even half the rides you want to. Also, almost all the time spent in the park is waiting in line, even if you use the stupid app they give you. Even getting food can take hours. 3, relating to the first reason, we could take our kids to dozens of places for the same price where they would get so much more out of it. 4, probably the most selfish reason, but I just don't like it. I get zero enjoyment personally from being there. I admit that watching my family have fun is a form of enjoyment, and I do many things just to see them happy, but I feel like we could plan a trip that includes something that everyone likes. This might actually be more suited for like r/relationships or something along those lines instead of am I the asshole? Because you and your wife just have 2 different ways of approaching how you want to do vacations. Your wife wants the Disney experience, no matter what kind of costs or what kind of sacrifices need to be made. But it's the Disney experience that you get to proudly say, like, yeah, we took our kids to Disney. We're those kind of parents. We're fun. We do the kind of stuff that our kids would enjoy. Even if it does mean waiting in line for several hours. OP, on the other hand, is more in the boat of, it's Disney. There are plenty of times to go to Disney, but also, it'll be miserable. We'll have to spend a lot of time waiting in line. We won't be able to go to the rides we want to, and it'll be expensive. And for the same price, we could probably find a comparable amusement park or some kind of experience that would also be just as fun, if not more fun, because less waiting in line. But it's also not the Disney experience. I think the party that you guys need to have the discussion with is the kids. If they're old enough to remember, they're old enough to choose which parks they're going to want to go to. And if they do choose Disney, are you willing to be miserable for a little bit of time so that way your kids can be happy? I also want to just add, I fundamentally agree with OP, like on a fundamental level. Like I don't see Disney as a fun time. I see it as a chore to like go around and navigate and to deal with all the extra stuff they have lined up. It just seems like a lot of work for what's supposed to be a vacation. Also, I'm glad to find out that I wasn't the only person who didn't think that the D in the Disney logo was a D. Either a fucked up G or a 6. One of the two, but not a D. Also, my brain's doing the thing right now where it doesn't recognize Disney as a word, so it's like repeating it over and over again because it's like lost the meaning. What's that called? Hold on a second. Semantic satiation. That's a fun way of putting it. It's the psychological phenomena, according to Wikipedia, in which repetition causes a word or phrase to temporarily lose meaning for the listener, who then perceives the speech as repeated meaningless sounds. That's what's currently going on with Disney right now. Fake-ass word. Well, welcome everyone to something I like to call the outro. I just made that up, by the way, in case you were wondering. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty clever. Well, anyways, you should totally go check out GamerSupps and use code ODDS at checkout for 10% off. Every purchase made supports the channel directly. So hey, you'll get caffeine or caffeine-free products. I get support for the channel and potentially future drops in my own flavor down the line. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Also, in the future, I'm going to try, I say try because who knows if I'll actually be able to hold myself to it. I'm going to try to maintain roughly a 30 to 40 minute range for the weekdays, and then the weekends will be the longer video days. This way, those of you who are interested in the 30-minute days will have kind of more of those, and those of you who enjoy the longer content will still have access to those. And I won't be sending myself into oblivion every day trying to record and then edit an hour's worth of content, essentially. So yeah, With that being said, oh, right, and also I'm probably going to start trying to do streams more often, like live Reddit streams for like subreddits that don't fit for videos, but would fit for like, just casually hanging out with everyone and just kind of doing some live stuff and then having the VOD actually uploaded. I think that'd be a lot of fun, and I'll be trying to actually figure that stuff out in the upcoming time. And I'll also, of course, be having, guest appearances of, like, let's say, Damian Lee, or perhaps Hi, I'm Wonder, or who knows who else I'd be able to drag into my cesspool. Maybe I'll be able to interview the alpaca who kicked my ass in a KFC parking lot. Who knows? Anyways, I'll catch y'all next time. Also, for those of you wondering why I wouldn't fight a llama, that's why. The alpaca won. The llama would have killed me.